All right, so today we're diving into the world of mobile crane operation. I gotta say, my initial picture, kind of simplistic, like someone way up high, just, moving levers around.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, right? Common misconception. Like most things, the reality is, well, far more nuanced. Think of it less like steering and more like, say, piloting a plane.
See, that's what I was hoping for. We've got these role catcher excerpts, and they hint at so much more. So you're here to help me unpack all the hidden depths of this career. And one of the things that jumps out right away, just from these excerpts, the sheer variety of mobile
For
cranes.
sure, for sure. The classic truck-mounted cranes, those are a given, but then it branches out. Crawler cranes, for example. Rough terrain cranes designed for, well, rough terrain.
Yeah.
And then get this, cranes mounted on boats.
Okay, hold up. Cranes on boats. Now that's just cool. Talk about a unique office view. But it's more than just the type of crane, right? What about the industries? Where do these operators actually work?
That's the thing, the range is massive. Construction, yeah, of course, that's a big one. But then think about manufacturing, logistics, even mining. They're on oil rigs, at ports, anywhere you need to move something seriously heavy, but with precision.
And that actually brings us to something that really caught my eye in these roll catcher excerpts. They emphasize a deep understanding of the crane's mechanics as absolutely crucial. I'll admit, not something I would have thought of as a top skill. So help me understand what's the connection there.
Safety. That's it. That's the key. It's paramount in this field. And for good reason. See, a crane's lifting capacity, it's not just some number someone made up. It comes from complex calculations, the crane's design, materials, how the forces are distributed when a load is lifted.
Yeah.
Without that mechanical knowledge, an operator's basically flying blind when it comes to judging if a lift is safe.
And I'm guessing misjudging those limits, well, not a mistake you want to make, to put it mildly.
It can be catastrophic, no other way to say it. We're talking potential structural failure of the crane itself, loads getting dropped, serious injuries on the job site. The responsibility is immense.
Makes sense then why RoleCatcher outlines this whole rigorous certification process. It's not as simple as just like showing up and hopping in the driver's seat.
Nope, not at all. They talk about extensive training programs, logging a specific number of practical hours under the watchful eye of an experienced operator, and then on top of that, you've got written exams, practical exams. And that's just to get started.
Okay, I'm starting to get a feel for the weight of this role, no pun intended. But I want to shift gears just a little bit. Now I'm curious about the day-to-day reality. If you had to describe what it's actually like up there in a crane, what would you say?
All right, close your eyes for a second. Picture this. You're in the crane's cab. It could be the middle of summer, sun beating down on metal, or pouring rain with the wind whipping around you. All around you, the constant sounds of a construction site. Engines, metal clanging, people shouting instructions.
So not exactly a meditation retreat then.
Definitely not a spa day. But here's the thing. Amidst all that, you have to be absolutely focused, laser focused, because you're in constant communication with your team on the ground, making sure every lift is precise, every movement controlled. It's physically demanding, no doubt, but also incredibly mentally demanding.
See, this is what I'm finding so fascinating. That blend of physical skill and mental acuity. You're not just a body moving levers, you're a mind that's constantly calculating, strategizing, communicating.
Exactly. And that right there is where that artistry comes in, the one we touched on earlier. Because it becomes about developing this feel for the machine, understanding its limits, and working in harmony with everything around you to get the job done safely and efficiently.
Artistry. That's not a word I would have expected when we started this whole deep dive. So tell me, what makes operating a crane an art form? What does that actually look like in practice?
It really is about finding that balance,
Yeah.
between control, yeah, but also this kind of finesse. Like imagine, right, lifting this massive steel beam, and it's got to go through a tight space, maybe wind pushing against it. So you're making these tiny adjustments with the controls, right, anticipating how the load's going to move, and you're working in sync with your whole team down there on the ground, guiding it into place. So it's more than just mechanics at that point. It really becomes about intuition experience.
Wow. So there's a real sense of mastery that develops over time, almost like you're, I don't know, becoming one with the machine in a way.
That's a great way to put it. And you see that reflected in how RoleCatcher outlines the whole career progression. Like you'll see these titles, entry level, then junior,
Yeah.
experience, senior mobile crane operator, a real path, for growth.
And I'm guessing each step on that path probably comes with a nice little salary bump, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
In fact, RoleCatcher really emphasizes that these are well-compensated roles, even starting out. And then as you gain experience, add certifications, those numbers can really climb. Think about it. A senior operator overseeing these complex projects on a huge construction site, those folks are in high demand, making a very good living.
So it's not just building a career, it's building a future, huh? But we can't talk about the future without talking about, well, the future of technology, automation. How's all that impacting the world of mobile crane operation?
Such a good point. And actually, RoleCatcher, they dedicate a whole section to this. We're seeing more and more like remote-controlled cranes, computerized load monitoring systems that give operators this real-time data. And then there's the advanced safety features designed to like actually prevent accidents. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
Though it does make you wonder. On the one hand, you've got these traditional skills, right? Mechanical understanding, precise control. But then you've got these cutting-edge technologies entering the scene. How are these changes being received in the industry? Like, isn't there a concern that automation might eventually replace human operators altogether?
Yeah, that comes up a lot. It's understandable. But I think the reality is, again, a bit more nuanced. Could some tasks become automated? Sure. But the need for a skilled operator at the helm, that's not going away. Think about a remote-controlled crane for a second.
Mm.
Physically, yeah, maybe it's easier to operate than a traditional one. But you still need to deeply understand things like load dynamics, rigging, safety protocols, all of that to use it effectively. And safely, of course, which is always paramount.
So it's not about being replaced, it's more about adapting and evolving alongside the technology.
Exactly. We'll likely see a shift in the specific skills needed, programming maybe, data analysis, troubleshooting complex systems. Those could become more and more important as time goes on. But that core understanding of cranes, physics, safety, that's non-negotiable.
Which brings us back to the certifications. RoleCatcher, they highlight the NCCCO, that's the National Commission for Certification of Crane Operators. Are there any examples from the excerpts about how that specific certification translates to safety on an actual job site?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the NCCCO, they don't mess around. Their certification process, it's really thorough, in-depth.
Yeah.
Different types of cranes have different certifications. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And those exams, they cover everything, like how to read a load chart, rigging principles, what to do in an emergency, even hazard recognition. They want to make absolutely sure that anyone certified can handle, whatever gets thrown at them, make safe decisions under pressure.
It really drives home the point that those massive cranes we see, on skylines, at ports, they're not just being operated, they're being like orchestrated by highly skilled professionals.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And actually, speaking of different cranes, RoleCatcher mentions that you can even specialize. Some operators, they get really into tower cranes, the ones you need for the skyscrapers, for example. While others might say specialize in rough terrain cranes if they like to work in more remote areas or places with tougher conditions.
So there's room to like really carve out your niche within the field. That's interesting. What about going global? Like, let's say you're certified in the US. Could you take those skills to other countries?
Definitely possible. It's not always as simple as just transferring a certification, though. Every country, they have their own rules, their own licensing.
So there might be extra training needed, or you'd have to get certified again.
Exactly. But the thing is, those core skills, that knowledge,
Right.
that's universal, right? So a good crane operator with the right experience, someone who's adaptable, they could find amazing opportunities all over the world.
It's true. We've covered so much ground here, from like the really technical stuff to this global perspective on the whole career. But there's one more thing from RoleCatcher I wanted to circle back to. They're big on teamwork and communication being super important for crane operators. What does that look like in practice?
Right, it's key. Because a crane operator, they're never working solo. They're part of this whole team. You've got the riggers who are responsible for securing the loads, the signal person who's guiding the crane's movements, and then everyone else on the ground.
Yeah, makes sense. Clear communication is like non-negotiable, especially with such heavy loads, potential hazards everywhere.
Absolutely. Even one miscommunication, a small misunderstanding about like weight distribution or heck, even just a hand signal misinterpreted, that could be disastrous. It's really important to remember we're talking about moving these giant, heavy objects with incredible precision, often in environments that are constantly changing.
Wow. You really come away with an appreciation for the coordination, the trust it takes for everyone to do their jobs safely.
It speaks volumes about everyone's skill, their professionalism for sure.
Well, a deep dive has been amazing. Mobile crane operation, clearly way more than just pulling levers. It's this unique blend of technical know-how, physical skill, spatial awareness, communication, problem solving. I mean, it's a surprisingly diverse skill set.
It really is. It's one of those fields that demands a strong mind and a steady hand, that's for sure. And the best part is it's always changing with new tech, new challenges, never a dull moment.
And that leads us to our final thought, something for our listeners to ponder. As automation becomes more and more a part of this field, how do you envision the role of a mobile crane operator evolving in the future?
The big question.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's an exciting time to be in this line of work, that's for sure. And if you're even a little bit fascinated by this world, I definitely encourage you to check out RoleCatcher. They've got tons of info on different career paths, skills you need, even how to prepare for interviews. It's a great place to start for anyone intrigued by this challenging and ultimately really rewarding career path.